All right, I just turned the recording on. I'm recording the meeting so that anyone who didn't make it tonight can read it or can view it. And I suppose I'll just put it up on YouTube or something. So let's begin, gentlemen. This is Strenfest Southwest Workshop number 1. Again, the idea is that in order to prepare for the Strenfest Southwest event coming up in September, we're going to go through these series of workshops so that everyone knows both, the important information about Strenfest as well as what sorts of skills they'll want to have in preparation in order to be most successful at the events. We have, I think, around 40 minutes before Zoom kicks us off, so I'm going to move a little fast, but I wanted to begin with some introductions for everyone here. And let's just do a quick, your name, the Strenuous Life class that you're a part of, as well as your state, and then what it is that you're most looking forward to at Strenfest. And I suppose just to make it easy, I'll just sort of call on you and you'll give your introduction if that works for everyone. So I will begin. Of course, my name is Garrett Walleman. I am a member of Strenuous Life Class 0, the first class. And of course, I'm in Arizona. The thing I am most looking forward to is I'm excited to see how folks are going to sort of show up at Strenfest. You'll join your team, and I'm looking forward to seeing those teams sort of develop almost an identity over the course of the event. And see the interactions between those and just see how people transition from their normal lives into life at a festival of strenuosity, if that makes sense. That's what I'm excited for. So next up, Jarrett, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, Jarrett Nichols, class 12 in Utah. And I'm looking forward to just building more friendships and relationships in strenuous life. So I started with my class, and then now we've got a pretty good group dynamic here in Utah, and looking to broaden those horizons, so to speak.
Fantastic, man. JT?
JT Trottier. I am in class 001 in Arizona, and I'm looking forward to the same thing that Jared's looking for, just meeting some guys and having a good time up in Blue. It's a beautiful country, is my understanding, and just having a good time with some guys.
Good stuff. Clint?
Yeah, my name's Clint Bisbee. I'm in class 45. I'm in Utah with Jarrett. I'm probably also looking forward to making some friendships outside of the mountain division that we've got here in Utah with Jarrett, but also a good road trip and meeting, testing my skills, and yeah, excited.
Fantastic, man. I've been seeing the mountain division meditations you guys have been doing every week, and those are so cool. So major props to the Utah group for doing that.
Thank you.
All right, the participant list is changing in order, so I hope I don't skip over anyone. I think, Abe, you're next.
Hi, Abe Lefkoy, class 36. I'm in Colorado. Actually, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm most looking forward to just like getting away for 5 days and not doing, my regular stuff.
Good. Chris.
Hey, Chris Jarvis from 59 in Arizona. And I'm mostly just excited to practice my skills and to meet more people from TSL.
Good stuff, man. Dustin, you're up.
Dustin Lewis, class of 17 from Utah. And I'm just always looking to have fun and hang out with other guys that like to have fun as well.
Good stuff. And like I said, the participant list is changing in order. James, have I already called you?
You have not.
Okay.
So full class of double or 000, I guess.
Yeah.
Arizona. And what I'm most looking forward to is basically an extended, strenuous camping adventure. I mean, meet people, spend some time outdoors, and get involved with some of the activities. So looking forward to the activity as a whole.
Good stuff, man. Joey, you're up.
Yeah, hey, I'm Joey Carzolio's TSL class 55 from just outside Boulder, Colorado, and looking forward to most hopefully being able to go in general to Southwest Strenfest, but that is to be determined as of right now.
Copy that, man. I hope you're able to make it as well.
Thanks, man.
Leisure.
Yeah, hey, I'm Leisure Stecker from Arizona, class 50. And I think, I joined TSL right when COVID started. And while I've had a few experiences with other members like in person, I'm looking forward to actually working some of these things practically with other people instead of by myself. So be good.
Fantastic. Not too many left. Todd, you're up.
Yeah, Todd Lassig, class 56 from Huntington Beach, California. Just kind of like Abe, I'm really looking forward to the idea of getting out of the house, getting dirty, and maybe making some new friends.
Wonderful, man. And Nathaniel, I think you're the last one, right?
You tell me, man. But yeah, I'm Nathaniel, class 54. Leisure was actually my it was a senior guide, right? Is that what billet you held? So looking forward to meet this guy and all you other OGs. I'm in California, so looking forward to meet y'all.
Good stuff, man. Is there anyone I missed? All right, no, I think we're good to go. Perfect. Good stuff, guys. All right. So like I said, I want to start with like a brief overview of Strenfest, as well as talking about some details and logistics that'll be important. And then following that, we'll talk about the Knotsmanship event and what you'll need to know for that. But yeah, starting off with Strenfest overall, the Festival of Strenuosity is not something I conceived of, but as it's sort of developed, we've put together kind of three major goals for how it works. And I've tried to schedule and design this upcoming one around those goals. Goal number one, of course, is that I want to have an exhilarating, a fun, and unique experience. And I've capitalized unique because I really want Strenfest to be the kind of thing, or the things that we do there, the kinds of things that can only be done at something like this. So you can always by yourself, learn to tie knots. And you can always even get some guys together and tie knots together, right? But in order to actually put on a real Knotsmanship competition, like that's something that is harder to do, a lot harder to do without something like this organizing it. And same for the other events we're doing. So I want to make everything we do here something that can only be done in this kind of environment to give everyone that unique opportunity. Goal number two, I want it to be an actual test of knowledge and skills. Like you should be showing up expected to be challenged, which is I think why we're all here, and it should be a test worthy of that expectation. And then finally, number three, what a lot of you guys were saying you're most looking forward to, building the friendships between people, building connections, not just between individuals, but between the different states. It is a Southwest event, right? I very much am excited to have people from all the different states in the region coming down and meeting each other. Let's talk briefly about the schedule. I'm going to post a topic on the forums about this shortly, but we can go over it here as well. Ignore my rude friend. So there's 5 days, the September 22nd to the 26th. But the first and last days are travel days, which I want to make sure we all understand. September 22nd, you're expected to show up sometime during that day, ideally by the evening. I've put dinner on the campfire on there. We'll try for that, but yeah, just make it up by the 22nd. Hang on 1 second. Let me close my chat app.
Garrett, do you mind zooming in a little bit?
Sure.
Thanks, man.
Does that help?
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, September 22nd is the day we'll drive up. Still zooming. September 26th is the day that we'll all drive back home. Last year, we did do breakfast in town. There's a town nearby the location. We'll probably do that again this year, but of course, that's not mandatory. Some folks do need to leave early to get going. So the important part is that for those 2 days, there's no real scheduled events. They're just days to get there and get home. But the 3 days in the middle are fully scheduled. These are full Strenfest days. For each of those days, sunrise is going to be around 6:30 a.m. and sunset is 6:30 p.m. And I've scheduled us to wake up a little bit before sunset at 6 a.m. on all 3 days. The general template for a day is going to be, you'll wake up, we'll have a couple hours for breakfast. We'll then do our morning event, which will take the morning up to lunch, which will be about noon. After lunch, we'll do our afternoon event, and we'll have dinner, usually ending at around 7 p.m., and then we'll do some sort of evening event. And to quickly touch on the events themselves and when they'll be happening, as you can see, our morning event on the 23rd is going to be the Knotsmanship challenge. In the afternoon, we're doing first aid challenge, and after dinner, we'll continue that with some low light stuff, because of course, sometimes you have to do first aid in the dark. On the 24th, our morning event is going to be a hike. We'll actually probably have lunch on the mountain. So as you're planning your meals, you'll want to have one of those meals be something you can prepare with like a camp stove or something that you'll bring with you. Then our afternoon event on the 24th will be a wilderness survival kind of event. After dinner, I suspect we'll do some astronomy badge work. We'll get to look at the stars. And finally, the last day, our morning event is going to be a good deed. Every Strenfest type event that I've organized has had a good deed as a major component of it, and I intend to continue that tradition. The afternoon is going to be some scout badge work. It'll be an orienteering event. And finally, after dinner, because this is the last day of Strenfest and we'll all have been going pretty hard, I'll let us do some socializing, have some fun, maybe play some games on that final day. Does anyone have any questions about the schedule?
Are we going to have access to that schedule?
Yes, I'm going to put that as a topic on the forum, probably tonight, but sometime in the next few days, definitely.
Cool.
That all looks awesome, Garrett.
I'm super looking forward to it, man. Let's talk some logistics real quick. So first off, the actual drive-in, Blue, Arizona is an unincorporated community in a valley right on the border between Arizona and New Mexico. From the highway, it's going to be 30 minutes to an hour drive in along dirt roads, depending on which road you come in on. They are dirt roads, but they're all fairly well maintained. So I wouldn't worry about bringing even like a sedan in. It should be okay. Don't worry about the drive-in. When you arrive, you'll be parking in a field right off the dirt road on my family's property. But the actual campsite is maybe 1,000 yards from the field that you'll be parking in. So you'll need to haul all your stuff out there. That path will take you across a river. I've got a photo of that river here. You can see it's not, it's not a big river by any means. And there are stepping stones so you can get across it fairly easy. But if there will be any problems with that, let me know and we'll make something work. For meals, last year we tried to do everything as a group meal and it kind of worked. I'd like to do some group meals again this year, but I think I'd like us to plan everyone have at least enough meals to cover themselves. And then if there's group meals, then we'll have extra. You'll be cooking either on the campfire. There'll be, of course, a fire to cook on. But yeah, of course, I would also recommend bringing some sort of camp stove or gas stove that you can use for that purpose. By the way, I'm going to write all this down in a thread topic as well, in case I know I'm going kind of fast, but going over it now. We're going to be camping outside, of course, the whole trip. So certainly expect that and bring your tent and anything else you need to stay warm. The temperature, it's probably going to get chilly at night. I don't think it's going to drop below freezing in September, but definitely bring adequate clothing and shelter just in case it does. We're going to be outside the whole time, but there are buildings on the property and we do, of course, a refrigerator in one of those. So to avoid us having to eat freeze-dried meals the entire time, you can definitely use the fridge for any food you want to bring. And finally, for acquiring the water, let's try to be strenuous and filter all of our water out of the river. So bring a filtration system for that purpose. If something goes wrong, we will of course be able to get water out of the house, but I think it's cool to get water out of the river. So let's try for that. Any questions about any of that stuff?
Can I bring like a couple gallons of water?
Yeah,
Is
that's
that
fine
okay?
too. But you'll have to haul it across the river.
More strenuous.
Precisely. All right. Team formation. When we show up, you saw it on the schedule maybe, on the first day, we're going to set up teams. Depending on how many people show up is how many teams we'll have and how many will be on the teams, but I don't think we'll have more than 4 people per team. So we can sort of work through that. Of course, you are more than welcome to begin working with people who you see on the call or other people who are going to be attending to discuss team formation early. But these teams will be the groups that you'll be working with as you go through these different challenges. And the purposes of the teams are twofold. Number one, to sort of create those kind of connections, those particularly close friendships that we were talking about. And number two, to create units for competition. I very much want to foster some good competition between this, and I'm excited to see how that works out. I believe, yeah, that's the last of the logistics items. Does anyone have any questions about that before we move on to the Knotsmanship stuff? Looks like we're all good to go. All right, the Knotsmanship challenge is going to be a series of 3 events where you'll have to use your knot skills to create something. And of course, I'm not going to give the details as to what exactly that's going to be, but at a high level, one of those things is going to be using your knots to rig some sort of camping related setup. The second item and the third item both have to do with lashing, although of course knots will be involved there as well. You'll be lashing together a movable item that will need to bear a certain amount of weight, and you'll also be lashing together a fixed structure that will need to bear a certain amount of weight. So you'll need to show up with the Knotsmanship skills to be able to put these sorts of things together. This is, of course, a competition. One team will come out on top. This will likely be judged as a combination between how quickly you're able to achieve these goals, as well as the quality of the resultant knotting or lashing. Here's a photo from last Strenfest. I think that's you, Abe, doing some knot tying. This isn't one of the things that we're going to be doing for this competition, but it's maybe a kind of example of the complexity that you might need to expect, where there is going to be a decent amount of knot work going on. This in particular is a stretcher that we tied together using just rope and those 2 sticks.
Do we expect to bring our own rope? Is there a recommended? Oh, there you go.
Yeah, precisely. I'm going to ask everyone to bring 100 foot of cordage, as well as a tarp. The cordage, paracord, of course, will work, and I expect that's what most folks will bring. But if you already have a different kind of knot on hand or of rope on hand, you can certainly bring that. Just something like paracord or larger. Don't bring twine, if that makes sense. That should be sufficient for the Knotsmanship challenge. Once again, I'm going to have a packing list as a topic, so expect to see that on the forums, but mentioning that here as well.
Real quick, what size of tarp are we talking about?
Oh, good question. Just a standard camping tarp should do. Nothing too tiny, of course,
Right.
but it doesn't have to be enormous either.
And then when should we expect that packing list? Sorry.
I will probably have that together. Not less than a month before the event. So either, let's see, either July or August is probably when I'll have that all together. Any other questions? All right. What we're going to do now is go through the skills that I think are going to be particularly important for the challenges that we're going to be holding. In this case, for this particular workshop, this is going to hew pretty closely to the items in the Knotsmanship badge, right? But I'll be pointing out sort of the particular uses of these skills, especially for anyone who hasn't done that Knotsmanship badge yet. It'll be a good quick overview of practical knot work. We're not going to actually tie anything here. I'm just going to sort of talk you guys through the different knots and what they're useful for. And then on your own time, you'll be able to actually practice tying them and getting good at that. Starting off with whipping and fusing the ends of the rope. When you bring your 100 foot of paracord, of course, you're going to have to be cutting that up. So you'll need to know how to fuse the end. Fusing paracord is very straightforward for anyone who's done it right. You just burn the end until it melts. If you choose to bring natural fiber-based cordage, you'll need to know how to whip it. Whipping simply means, just like in these ropes in the top, you'll see how the one at the bottom is loose and frayed at the end, and the other one has some smaller twine tied around it to hold that together. That's called whipping. So in both cases, the idea is to take the end of the rope and stabilize it so it doesn't fray and come apart. You'll need to know that, of course, for the skill. And then the various knots that we'll be doing, first and foremost, is the bowline. The bowline allows you to put a loop at the end of a rope that is very secure and it doesn't cinch itself closed. The knot stays open. The bowline is particularly useful for either creating a loop to hang something on, or alternatively to loop it over an exposed hook. So you can imagine stringing a bowline onto the end of a bow, or using it to attach to a tent stake. Are some of the uses of that knot. It's very easy to tie once you know how to do it. 2 half hitches, very standard knot for self-tightens around itself. So you put it around a pole or a pipe like you can see in this one, and then you can cinch it closed around it. Kind of the standard knot for securing to either a pole or a tree or something. It's fast and it's easy to do, and it's strong enough for the purposes that we need. You can also use this to tie onto other pieces of rope if you so desire. The clove hitch also is used to tie around things like a pole or a tree or something of that nature, but it's a looser kind of knot. It's meant not to really be that strong of a knot in and of itself, but just to tie onto something and get it started. Used very often in lashing as the first item. We'll talk about lashing in a second. The first part of the lashing from which you'll then later tie stuff onto. Doesn't bear weight very well by itself. If you're going to want it to bear weight, use a different knot. The sheet bend is primarily used to tie 2 lengths of rope together. Once again, you can see here it's a very simple knot, but it's strong enough to really secure what you need to secure, I suppose. Primarily, yeah, you're going to use it to lengthen existing lengths of rope. This is actually my favorite knot of the bunch, is the taut line. Similar to the 2 half hitches. In fact, it's tied almost exactly the same, but while the 2 half hitches cinches itself closed, the taut line does not. And furthermore, you can adjust it in order to tension or loosen the rope. So you can see how this is tied onto a stake. You could pull this knot up along the rope in order to shorten that rope overall and increase the tension. So very useful for doing things like mounting a tarp, hanging a hammock, setting up a tent. I've used it to hang sunshades for my garden in the backyard before. Very useful knot for that purpose. Those are the knots I wanted to go over. There's some lashings following this, but does anyone have any questions about anything I said there? Sounds like we're all fairly straightforward. Is there anyone here who hasn't gotten their Knotsmanship badge? I see 1, 2. I can't see everybody's screen, but there are a few who haven't. You can see like these are maybe about, I don't know, 3/4 of the knots that are in that badge work, and they're all pretty straightforward. So you can definitely get these done before Strenfest, and I certainly encourage you to do so. Let's move on to the lashings. There are 3 types of lashings, and by the way, the word lashing here refers to you've got 2 poles and you're securing them together in some way. That's what a lashing is. The first one is the square lashing, which is used when the poles are at a 90-degree angle to each other, like you see here. But specifically, the idea is that one pole is straight vertical up and down, and the other pole is parallel to the ground. And the force is being applied to that pole parallel to the ground. This is in contrast to the diagonal lashing, where it more forms like an X. The force is coming down to the top open spot of that X. I think that actually covered everything for the square lashing. Yeah, its purpose is to allow you to bear weight on that pole, and I'll show you a photo shortly of like an example of that. The diagonal is the same kind of thing, except with 45-degree angles to the ground, you're at a 45-degree angle to the force as well from either of the two poles. But other than that, it's the same. It's a different lashing, but it's for the same kind of purpose, which is to bear that kind of weight. The third lashing is called a shear lashing. Unlike the other two that are normally tied, say, in the middle of the pole, this one is tied at the very top, and the purpose is to hold the poles together for something like an A-frame or a tripod. So you can't see it in this photo, but these poles could extend for several feet out, and then you can imagine sort of standing them up and separating them to create sort of an A shape along the ground. And this lashing holds them secure at the top for that purpose. Those three lashings should be everything you guys need in order to build those structures that we talked about, the movable structure and the fixed structure, both of which are going to need to bear, in one case, a decent amount of weight, and in the other case, a significant amount of weight. So for those who don't already know them, and even for those who do, I definitely encourage you guys to get familiar with these knots and these lashings, practice them. A really good way to learn them is the website Animatednotscom. This is a screenshot from that website. You can see it's got all sorts of knots. If I was to actually open this website and click through to one of them, it'll show you an animation of how to tie it. And in order to actually test out your knots and prepare, a couple exercises you can use. First off, a bearer bag. This is actually something we did at the last Strenfest. You can use 4 of these knots to put this together. You can tie several lengths of ropes together with sheet bends in order to get something long enough. Then you can do, say, a bowline to secure the bag. You can throw it over the tree, and then you can tie, I don't know, 2 half inches or something to secure it. That was only 3 knots. I said 4, but the point is it's an exercise that allows you to do a bunch of different knots. Similarly, you can do something like rig a survival shelter using a tarp with several different sorts of knots. For doing your lashings, here's that picture I mentioned earlier. You can make what's called a post and lintel. This is actually not quite a post and lintel because it's got the tripods here, but close enough. You can lash things together to sort of set up this thing and then put some weight on it. You can hang a cinder block on it like I did here, or you can actually make it into a seat and sit on it. And similarly with the shear lashing, really the only way to practice that is just to like make a tripod out of it or something, and then, I don't know, hang some weight from that, or try standing on it or something of that nature. But those are some good ways to practice it that you can surely do in your own backyard. And that wraps up the workshop. I think that'll give you guys all of the information that you need to really get prepared for the competition. What you're seeing here is a photo of the blue, by the way. So whoever said that it was a beautiful country, they were right. It's one of the most beautiful parts of Arizona. So if there are, we got about maybe 8 minutes until we're going to get kicked off Zoom. So if anyone wants to have any questions or chat about anything, I'll open the floor.
Anybody want a carpool? I'm going through Phoenix, it looks like.
I'll carpool with you if you make it out this way.
Yeah, it looks like it. That'd be cool. Looking forward to meeting
I was
you.
definitely planning to carpool with people too, because I'll probably come from Phoenix also.
Yeah, we can figure something out.
Cool.
Right on. Yeah, I imagine. Well, we got 5 months. We'll be talking to each other a bit.
Yeah.
Hey Garrett, quick question about trees on the property. Can you hang hammocks?
Yes, you certainly can. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, there's plenty of trees up there, pines, all sorts of things that you can easily hang a hammock off of. So definitely feel free to do so. Again, I don't think it's going to get too cold, but I would recommend bringing something to keep yourself warm in the hammock itself.
Okay. Next question. A lot of creepy crawlies in that area?
Not more than most. What are you thinking about? Things like snakes or like bugs?
Yeah, snakes, scorpions, that sort of thing.
Gotcha. We have them up here. I guess I should be honest. We did have a snake come through camp last time. Abe will remember that one. But
how did it taste after you cooked it?
Sorry, repeat that.
How did it taste after you cooked it?
We should have done that, shouldn't we have? What was it? It was a prairie rattler, I think. But that's actually like, I've only seen snakes up there like 3 times, and that's one of them. So that was quite a coincidence. As far as other things like, spiders and scorpions, I don't feel like I see them very much. I've camped up there many times, and I've never had a problem with them, so I wouldn't worry too much about that.
Cool.
On a related topic, what's the mosquito infestation like? Like, is it by September? What should I plan for? Should I bring a net, like a face net, or yeah?
It's not very bad at all. I do not know off the top of my head how bad it is in September versus other months. I can look that up for you. But again, from experience, it's never really been a problem for me when I'm up there. If I ever get bit at all, it's like maybe 1 or 2 bites. It's never terribly bad.
Yeah, our Arizona mosquitoes only like quality blood too. Just kidding.
How far a drive is it from Phoenix?
I can get there in I can get there in like 4.5 hours. But for people who follow the speed limit, you can get there in about 5 to 5.5 hours.
You said from Phoenix, Garrett?
That's right, from Phoenix. There are 2 ways up from Phoenix for guys who are local. You can either go up through Globe or through Payson. One of those 2 will make sense depending on which way you're coming.
I have a question about the overall. Clint and Dustin are going to laugh at me because this is kind of an inside joke with the Mountain Division, but is there a patch that we get for participating in this, or because I am a unapologetic patchaholic, so
I do intend to create a Strenfest patch this year. We didn't do one last year. I sort of ran out of time before I could get it together, but I do intend for us to have one.
Bully. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
I'll do anything for a patch, really.
Anything?
You got a paying customer now there, Garrett. Good job.
Any other questions?
You shouldn't have told him so soon. Now he's going to triple the price.
I'm a sucker.
How much will you pay? For everyone else, it's going to be X dollars, but for you,
I know. Get the junkie while you can.
I got a question. This is more for free time because I know it's not in the schedule, but you guys going to be doing any shooting out there?
We certainly can. In fact, that was an event that we did last year. I was not able to fit it onto the schedule this time around. And to be totally honest, last year we did not have that much free time. In part, that was because I tried to schedule too much. You'll notice that we only have, 1 event in the morning, 1 event in the evening. That's so that we don't run out of time constantly like we did last year. And that may mean that we'll have some unexpected free time if some of those things go faster than expected. And so for that purpose, yeah, if you want to bring the equipment to do some shooting, you're more than welcome to. The spot where we're camping is right next to where I normally shoot. So we can definitely do that.
Garrett, what time when do you plan on going up? Would you entertain anybody going up earlier than you've got on the schedule?
Yeah, that'd be fine. I myself will probably be up there at least 1 day early, possibly 2 days early. And for what it's worth, I normally stay a day late as well, mostly to recover. But yeah, I'd be okay with someone coming up a day early if they liked.
Got it. Thanks.
What time do you have the dinner for that first night when we're all driving in?
It's gonna we'll play it by ear. It's whenever folks show up. In general, my goal for meals this time around is to keep it under 2 hours and to try to do it while there's still daylight. Last year, multiple times we ended up cooking our dinner in the dark because the events went so long.
And just for clarity, there's not going to be access to cell phone and service out there, Blue, correct?
No, I wouldn't expect it. This photo that you're seeing on the screen, if you were to hike from here, maybe another hour up the top of a mountain, then you can get cell phone service. But anywhere else, no, you can't get it.
Got it.
Thank you for bringing that up. That's a good thing to
Excellent.
mention.
Yeah.
If there was some sort of emergency,
Radio?
we would be able to, of course, go to one of the buildings has like internet, right? So you'll be able to go there and contact someone if you needed to. I think I talked over someone. Was somebody asking a question?
Oh, I was just asking about emergency communications if you needed someone to bring a ham radio.
That would be very cool, man. There is a repeater up here, which I have never myself gotten a chance to test out. I have on my to-do list to get my license at some point. But that'd be super cool if you wanted to bring one.
Should we expect firewood available on the property, or should we bring some up?
There will be way more firewood than you could possibly want. In fact, I encourage you guys to burn as much of this dead wood we have up there as possible.
Firewood is like, it was like the most available firewood I've seen anywhere.
Perfect.
We actually need to we need to clear the property. It's a little overgrown.
So our last night's a bonfire. Got it. Check.
Hell yeah.
Well, thank you, Garrett. I know we're running short on time. I just wanted to thank you and appreciate this. And we'll look forward to the next one.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you very much for joining tonight. I'm really excited for this next event, or rather for this event in general, right? It's going to be, I think, a really good one. I will post details on the next workshop that we'll be doing, which will be sometime in June. And until then, gentlemen, I will see you online.
All right. Thanks for setting this up.
See you guys.
Thanks a lot.
Have a good one.
See you.
Bye.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.